Hello and welcome to Hyper Production with me, Rory. In this episode I'm going to be showing you how to do a basic arrangement to get you started on finishing that track, so stay tuned. Okay, so I've got a project that I've loaded up here, which is something that I've been working on, and I'm going to show you an easy way of how to structure it and at least get the starting basis done for structuring. Okay, so as you can see in this track, we've got quite a few elements here. So the top is all my drums, and then I've got bass, piano, synth, and a couple of additional stabs, arps, and pads, followed by vocal, high string, and then the bottom in the brown are all transitional effects. So that's your reverse crashes, impacts, sub-drops and little risers. So the first thing we're going to do, because a lot of it is the same, we're going to focus on the main bulk of the track. So this little bit here, where you've got the drums, the bass and piano, you've got everything going on in one bit. So we're going to focus on that. So essentially what we can do is delete a lot of these other parts. And then we're just going to purely focus on getting a basic block which has got all our sounds in it. We're going to copy and paste it, and then we're going to filter off and take out the bits that we don't need. And that's the easiest way to start structuring a track, and then you can visually see where you want to go. And then obviously after that you want to apply your automation, but we'll get to that in a minute. So this little chunk that we mentioned a minute ago is the bit that we're going to keep, so we can delete all these bits. We want to try and get sort of an 8 bars. So then I'm going to press Command and R, and that's going to bring that one up full. And then we're going to delete those, and going to click Erase, and then we're going to copy and paste those again. So here is our main building block. So we can delete all this. We're going to keep the high string, and then I've got a little bit of a fill sort of just here that we're going to keep as well. But I'm just going to shove that out of the way a minute. So as you can see, that's past the minus mark, past the first mark. So we're going to leave that there. And we're going to drag all this, and it's going to ask us to move the automation. We're going to click move. And then what we're going to do, so we're going to select all this. So this is our main building block that we've got. So again, we're going to press Command R. And then for the sake of this, we're going to click Do Not Show Us Again, because we do want it to move all the automation. And then again and again and again and again. Okay. So this is our building block. So this is your 48 bars, which is divisible by sort of 16 bar segments, which is quite important for house music, especially when you're mixing in tracks, when you're DJing the tracks. You want everything to be happening on sort of a 8 to 16 bar round. Okay, so now as you can see here, it's dead easy then to then filter off and take bits out that we don't need. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave the drums all the way through, and then we're going to concentrate on that bit in a minute. So to start off with, we don't need the bass, and we probably won't need the bass for probably about the first sort of 16 bars. So we can delete those. Now the piano, we want to probably come in, we're going to filter that in perhaps. And then the synth, we're going to bring in on a main sort of drop bit, and probably the rest of these elements as well. So here is basically our intro. We're going to be filtering off and taking a lot of things out that we don't need for the intro. All right. And then the vocals we're going to leave in there because we want a bit of a hint as to where the track's going to be going. And then we can probably take off that one and that one, because then we can add maybe a little bit of delay effect to then carry on to the next round of vocal. Okay, now the string we're going to take out there, because in the intro we probably want a high string just to hover above the intro to try and give us, you know, something to sort of work with, but we'll probably have that coming in second time round as well. So as you can see, we're going to be filtering in the drums coming in as well as the piano, and we've got all slight hints of vocal there to then build up into a big drop, if you like. But then again, we can also put that as a slight bridge. You know, it depends on how you're feeling the track's going to go. Now, I've turned down all the mixer faders here because I wanted to basically mix it as we went along. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to push the drums up just a little bit. So then we've got those. And then we've got our piano here. So that's that. And then because we've got the drums going all the way through, we probably don't want to be writing automation on each individual one. So that's where the beauty of busing comes from. Busing is the process. If you look here where we've got bus 13 and 20 on the sends, we are basically sending that signal elsewhere. So what we can do then is we send it to a bus, you hold down Alt and then you click these buttons and it will give you basically unity gain, which is basically 0 dB. So then you'll be sending over the full amount of signal. So as you can see down here, this is our bus track. So it's coming in on bus 20, and as you can see, we have got it sent on bus 20. Bus 13 I'll talk about in a second. And then obviously the tops loop, we got it bussed out on 20. So basically I've got all my drum loops that I need to be sent to bus 20. So input bus 20. So the beauty of doing this is that we can automate just one channel instead of having to do multiple channels of the same automation, which you can do. You can copy and paste automation, but it's a very, very long-winded way to do it. And especially if you've got multiple layers of drums, it can be very, very time-consuming. And what we're going to do, we're going to add the fabfilter Simplon. Now, I highly recommend getting this for a filter plugin because it's, as the name says, it's so simple to use. You've got your high-pass filter there, and then you've got your low-pass filter there. Up and down basically attenuates the resonance. Okay, so then what we're going to do, we're just going to click on automation, then we're going to go to the Simplon, then we're going to go to filter 2 because we want it to be high pass. So we want it to, because of the intro, imagine if you're mixing a track, you want it to be high pass to then sit on top of the drums of the previous track. So we're going to go on frequency, and then we're basically just going to click anywhere because then it will highlight the actual line. Going to bring it up to 1, and then what we're going to do, probably going to bring it up to about 500. And then what we're going to do, we're going to bring that one down because we want it to basically come in again in a bit. So as you can hear from this, so you don't necessarily want a slant, you don't want it to come in gradually, you want it to stay as filtered, so you want the high pass there, but then you want the drums to come in suddenly. Well, that's where the marquee tool comes in play. So we're going to go here, we're going to basically just delete that by double clicking on it, okay? And then what we're going to do, for this secondary tool here, we're going to go down to marquee tool. And the marquee tool basically lets you select sections and it snaps to the grid. So then obviously because it's our secondary tool, we're going to hold down command and you see it changes just like that. And then say from the 5th bar we want it to come in, so then we're going to highlight all here. So you could just do it for 4 bars and it will snap back to its original state, but that's not the point for this tutorial. And then what we're going to do, we're going to click on the line and then we're going to drag it down. And you see how now it gives you a really, really sharp point back to the beginning of where it needs to be. So then if we listen to that, so we'll get this back up. And there you have sort of your intro where the drum's going to snap into play really quickly. Now this is a really, really powerful and quick way to like speed up your workflow, get the arrangements done, and get all you need to get that basis done. So we've done that. And now we want to probably attenuate the piano. Now the piano, we probably want to get a bit of a different vibe. So why don't we try perhaps putting it on a low pass filter? So then what we're going to do, so I have got one set up here already. So you can see that I've got the slight attenuation on the resonance for the low pass, okay? So in the automation, you can see here, I've got it all the way down. Oh, that's right, that's for the filter 2. So we've got filter 1 here. So then I've got that down here. So I've got this almost acting as a band pass. So a band pass is when you have the high pass and the low pass coming in and you just attenuate in the middle frequencies, and that's all you can sort of hear. Okay, so we don't want it to do that. We want it to basically sound like it's underground and it's just sort of developing. But the problem with that, sometimes you can get a lot of low-end resonance and we don't necessarily want that. So we will be looking at that and taking a bit out, but probably not on as much as you think. Okay, so then if we go on to filter 2, and then the quick and easy way, little tip here, to get rid of automation all in one foul sweep is if you click on one, say at the very end, and you just drag it all the way along. And obviously delete the ones that you don't need. Okay, and that just basically clears out your automation like dead easy. Okay, we're going to bring this up just ever so slightly just to get rid of that low end resonance, because you are going to be sort of boosting the low end when you do the high, when you do the low pass. Okay, so we're going to bring that up probably till about the same. So just delete some of these. In fact, we are a bit further back than we thought, so I'm going to drag this all the way back to that point. So double click that, gets rid of it. So now we're looking like we're on a steady pace from that one there all the way along. Then we're going to go to filter 1, And then probably going to do the same here. So we've got the last remaining one there. We're just going to double click that one, get rid of it. And then drag this one, drag it all the way to the end. There we go. And then double click that one. So let's have a listen. So now you can hear we've got full control just via the automation lane to then filter in this piano. So let's try and sort this out. And then what we're going to do, we're going to double click this one here and we're going to bring it up because we want it to come in about the same times when everything else comes in. Now, another powerful little tool for automation is curves. So if you click down on the toolbar here and go on automation curve tool, because it's our secondary tool, you hold down command, click towards the end, drag it down, and it's going to give you a very, very nice curve. So then that's really good for build-ups because then it gives you that sharp sweep up. Because when you do automation just in a very linear, straight line, it sounds like you've reached the full openness of the filter way too early on. So this is a really good way to like just make that filtering apparent. So let's have a listen. Okay, so as you can see, as you can hear there, we obviously haven't put down the automation lane to then come back or just stay there. So what we can do is basically just double click this top one, double click that one, and then we're back to normal and it will do the whole lane. So we're going to move on to this little vocal snippet that we've got. Okay, what we want to try and do here, again, I've got it bussed out on a couple of effects channels. So I've got vocal chorus, vocal delay, and vocal reverb. This is another topic I'll be following on another video, and it's talking about basically bussing out your effects. And you want to try and veer away from adding loads of effects onto the original source because it doesn't give you a full sense of control over the original signal and adding the effects. So when you're adding effects, you kind of just want a dedicated channel for that, especially with reverbs. If you've got quite a hot signal on the reverb on the original channel, so this vocal channel here, you can kind of swallow up the sound and you won't really hear the reverb in its full glory. So as you can see here, we've got it bussed out on 3 different buses here. The reverb's on bus 22. So if I just solo that and you can hear this. Okay, so for that, I'm using the Pro R by fabfilter. I highly recommend their plugins. The interfaces are dead easy to use and they sound great, so you can't really go wrong. And they're pretty cheap to buy as well. You can buy the bundle packages. So we've got a vocal reverb there. We've also got a delay, and we're using the Native Instruments replica. Another one that's really cool. I think this one actually comes free. Well, I think it did when we bought the Complete 10 about a year ago, which we're probably due an upgrade, but it works for us for now and it sounds great. And this one, we've got a chorus. Again, choruses can drown out some of the original signal. We want it to enhance the original sound. So again, I've put that on a separate bus to then come in there. Then what we can further do is actually send out all those buses, including the original vocal, out onto its own dedicated, purely everything vocal bus, if you want to call it that. And then we can obviously then, like we've done with the drums and piano, we can then change the automation and get it to sound how we want, especially for this intro. But I think for now, just putting the Simplon filter from fabfilter on the original source, because then it's going to be sending out that same signal to these channels. It's fine for working for us now. So let's have a look at the automation lane in there. Again, we can probably delete some of these automation points. So again, let's double click that one and get rid of it. So then again, let's drag this one all the way there. And then we've already got an automation curve on there. So just how we did with the piano. And then we can bring it there as well. So this is how it's going to sound. Okay, so the piano one's sounding a bit weird there because I think something else is happening with the reverb output. Yeah, so it's spiked there. So let's get rid of all these automation lines and delete some of these. And let's drag this one all the way back. I think Logic is having a bit of a glitchy day today. Doesn't seem to do what I want it to do. Okay, so cool. Let's drag all these out. So we kind of want to maybe keep that reverb output there. And then not only does it work bringing the automation up with the automation curve tool, if we press Command and then drag upwards, it will then give us a nice curve like that. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I think with this vocal, what we're going to do, we're going to basically get this delay joining the two together. And what I mean by that, from the end of this phrase here, we're going to get the delay to then come in via automation and then to sort of carry on to the next one. Okay, let's go down to our delay channel. And then what we're going to do, we're going to put some automation on this lane. And then... so we've got the replica feedback already automated. So feedback on a delay is basically how many times you want it to come back, but be careful, the more you do it, the more it will feedback on itself and it will start self-oscillating. So that's when it starts circling around and adding on top of each other and amplifying itself. So just be wary of that. You don't want to put too much feedback on a delay, unless you're trying to get that sort of desired effect, but just be careful of your ears. Okay, so we probably want that carrying on just a little bit more. So what we're going to do, we're going to use the marquee tool, because that'll be a much better way of doing it. And then marquee tool, so the next vocal is, yep, we're in line with it. So then we're going to do that. We're going to drag it along here. So it's about 4 bars. So that'll be the end fitting of that one. Perfect. And then what we're going to do, we're going to drag this one down to about the same point as the original one here. And then we'll basically get it... oh, do that, and then what I'll do, I'll click off that, and we'll just get that one coming in again. So then carry on for the build. So we want it slightly different than last time. Okay, so let's have a little listen to that. Okay, cool. So you can kind of see where we're sort of building this now. It gives you a sense of what's coming in the track and something that's about to build up. And obviously we can still hear that delay in there. So what we're going to do, we're just going to turn down that automation towards where the drop is. So if we're in line with that crash there, and then probably put a point there and then just bring it down. And then that will sort of sort out the feedback that we were having. Okay, because otherwise that will just carry on. It's pretty stubborn like that. Also with the drums, I reckon might be quite a good thing to do is if we automate that towards the end, and then we'll give that a bit of a curve. And then if we do that, bring that up to probably about 500 the way we did last time. Probably bring this back for the whole bar, and then we're going to put an automation curve in. So then drag this down. There we have it. So we're going to leave that on, and that should give us something quite cool. Okay, and then obviously there, when it drops in, we're going to use our marquee tool again. We're just going to press Command because it's our secondary tool. Just drag over maybe 4 bars, and then we're going to bring that all the way down because we don't want to hear that effect anymore, and then just delete those two. So then the drums are now going to sound. Okay, just slightly misses it there. So what we're going to do, we're going to zoom in and just attenuate this a little bit more. So if we just pull that back ever so slightly, and that should fix our problem. Brilliant. Okay, cool. So yeah, that's another thing about automation. When you're using the marquee tool, just double check that you're not sometimes if you're bang on the line and you've got a very sharp transient like a kick drum, it can sometimes just take a split second to come in and you just miss that initial hit of the kick. So just be careful of that and just drag it back slightly, you'll be fine. Okay, so we have our sort of intro sorted, and then we've got a lot of effects here. So I'm just going to pull all these up probably about the same nominal value. So again, like we had before, we had a lot of the transitional effects sort of in their same place. So because we've copied and pasted a lot of the stuff, we can actually start then deleting here. Because it's far better to delete stuff and remove stuff in terms of a creative perspective than it is to add stuff. So if you've already got all your ideas into one solid bit, and then just take away from that, and it's so much easier to do that. It's so much easier to take away than it is to add. So just always remember that, and your arrangements will pay dividends in your arrangements, and you'll be able to get stuff done so much quicker. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to get rid of these impacts because I want it to come in when the big stuff comes in. And then we can also get rid of the sub drop because obviously we've got our bass coming in, so we don't want to have a clash of low frequencies, okay? So then let's have a little listen. Okay, so a little high string in there when you're building up to a main drop is a really good way of adding tension. It's sort of that floating high string, and it just, adds that little bit of tension. So let's have a listen from the beginning. Let's get that riser adding up at the same time as the reverse crash. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to bump that up slightly, and then we move that there. Okay, cool. So I think what we've done here as well with the delay, we've shut it off completely, which is not what we wanted to do because we want a slight bit of effect in there. So instead of on 0, I'm going to bring it up to the original one that we had here, so 51. Okay, there we go. And take off automation. And then what we can do is actually get rid of the drums, a slight beat just before. So if we bring it back here, silence is golden as well. So something that happens before a drop or something happens before something really busy, stripping a load of things back can be really beneficial and just sound really suspending and just gets you really ready for when something's about to kick in. So let's have a look. So you can easily see just taking out those drums adds a whole different dynamic to it. It just really makes that big bit coming in even harder. So then obviously let's attenuate here. So we want something to come in here, but we don't necessarily want something coming in that quick. So we're probably just going to have the bass. We're going to save the synths for probably a bit further down the line. So we're going to have the drums coming in for a little bit. And then we'll probably just have the vocals still on the first and third phrase of this 16 bar loop. Okay, so let's bring in the bass. So for this bass, we're working with the Korg M1 and of course the absolute golden organ bass sound, which because of a lot of records, this synth isn't quite well known now. Okay, so the beauty of doing the automation and copying automation lanes is that for the drums from the original, we can probably do sort of quite a similar thing in terms of a little drop at the end here, and then we can sort of cut that out for 2 bars to then really come in on this bit here. In fact, we might even go as far as just to get rid of those drums completely and maybe just have a bit of silence there anyway. I think what we will do is just take out that bit of bass there as well. Let's hear it from there. Okay, so there we go. So it just adds a little bit of a different dynamic for going into yet a busier part. So it's all about building those blocks and about getting the dynamics right, where's meant to be quiet, how long do you make the intro, what bits do you introduce and what bits don't you. So as you can see here at the top, we're just starting with the basic of the drums because we're doing a house track and we want DJs to mix it in. We've got the piano to give some context to the song to let you know that this song is now coming in. We've got vocals because they're a really good way to manipulate the intros and make it sound a bit more atmospheric. We've got a high string there to add some atmosphere to the beginning, and we've got all our transitional effects as well. Then obviously after about sort of 32 bars, we've then come in to the main sort of drop. So that's about sort of the maximums you want to go without it sounding too elongated and drawn out. And then from that, just keep copying and pasting these blocks and then just taking away what you don't need and then just creating a new dynamic throughout the track and just keep coming in and out of stuff. So when you put it in context like that, it's actually relatively easy. I get numerous comments on YouTube. Can you do a video on arrangement and how do we do this? What bits do we put in first? When you think of it like this, it makes it so much easier to understand. Think of it from someone who's playing it out. And how would you like a track to then come in when you're DJing? And another great thing is reference other tracks. It's a really good way to, obviously, if you just copy other people's arrangements in terms of like stylistically with elements, that's a great way to practice as well. There's nothing wrong with that. If anyone tries to tell you that you're copying another person with their arrangement, I think that's a little bit petty, but hey ho, it's life. So if this video has helped you out, then please give us a thumbs up. If you've got any suggestions about how to improve arrangements, then please leave them in the comments section below. Equally, if you can give us a subscribe, that would massively help us. And also head over to our website at www.hyperproduction.com. Join our mailing list to find out when we go live. We've got some really exciting things coming your way. And that's ciao for now from me. Thank you very much for watching. Bye-bye.